by somebody who told me that Bernard was working on a solo project and that he was interested in writing with me. So on a trip to America I arranged to meet Bernard after a New Order concert, and we met up and discussed it, and then when the tour was finished we met up at my place in Manchester, and we discussed it further and started cracking on it in sort of, I think this is the end of 1988, 89. So I just heard that Bernard wanted to write with me and met up with him. And we hadn't seen each other for a long time. Sort of bumped into each other in Manchester in between New Order and Smith's duties. And that was it really, we just started cracking at it pretty much straight away.
I used to lock myself up in New Orleans rehearsal room, which is a bit strange because it's got a huge graveyard at the back of it, which you might guess, you know. And I'd stay there all night, working out ideas, and playing the ideas back to myself, and asking me what I thought of them. And I just thought it was a bit difficult being the artist and the only producer. And I felt I was working in a vacuum, and I wanted someone, you know, I needed someone. I felt it was all going horribly wrong.
On Getting Away With It, and sang on Getting Away With It. He also co-wrote some of the lyrics and music on The Patience of a Saint, along with Chris Lowe. And Neil contacted Bernard and expressed an interest in the record and wanted to be involved, and we both of us jumped at the chance, being fans of the Pet Shop Boys. And we have a lot of fun working with Neil and Chris. They're very, very funny people, and it's very natural the way we work together. I mean, The Patience of a Saint was written in probably about, the music was written in about 30 minutes, and the four of us had never written together before, so that was really encouraging when we did that. It's one of the easiest times I've had writing with anybody. And he gives us lots of encouragement from the sidelines. He's like a favourite uncle.
No, I like the Smiths. I like the Smiths, so I was like Johnny's songwriting and his guitar playing. And I knew he wasn't doing anything at the time, and I just thought he'd be the ideal person. And Neil asked to work with us, and when he did, I'd always been...
Yeah, we started in mid-1981. I was working at a clothes shop in Manchester. I worked at various clothes shops and been trying to sort of flog it around with different bands from being a kid, really. And I'd heard about Morrissey through a couple of different friends who'd been in groups with him, most notably Billy Duffy, who's now in the Cult. And came the time really for me to sort of do something serious. I just had enough of sort of messing around with people who were like, weren't going to do it full time. And I went round to his door and knocked on the door and said me bit, really, and we got together then, and then really from that moment on we started writing sort of feverishly. It was great, it was really brilliant, the early days were fantastic. Faith in my own abilities to do something new. And really, it was, as a young sort of person looking for an exciting group, it was quite handy that I could play, because I sort of manufactured that exciting group I was looking for, really, from a musical point of view. And you know, I knew Morrissey was a special lyricist, and I knew I had a pretty good way myself with a tune. And it was when we first started writing, pretty much from day one, before we got a deal or we made a record. I think most notably it was when we first went in the studio to demo a couple of songs. That ended up on the first LP, Hand That Rocks the Cradle and Suffer Little Children. And that was when I really got to hear Morrissey sing like he can sing in the studio and all that stuff. So very, very early on, almost immediately, I knew we were going to be really good. But we didn't even have the other band members then. It was just myself and Morrissey, and I thought, well, we thought at the time that maybe we didn't write for other people. One of them being Sandy Shaw, which we ended up, because we created this, it was nearly always 3 songs or an album. When we went to do a single that wasn't on the album, we'd do like 3 new songs. And we were just creating something from out of the air that was really unique. So that was mainly the highlight, was all the way through it. You know, the whole period was really, really good. And when we first started getting people who turning up at gigs with flowers and beads and, you know, the same haircut and all that kind of stuff, that was a bit of a buzz. So I say pretty much all of it, except for the last few months, really, were just fantastic. Fantastic memories, and but I'm really into the here and now, and I'm not really into going back. And I still see him occasionally, bump into Andy and stuff. Saw Andy last week, and it's good, but it's a different time now. You know, you get older. We were so young in those days as well, you know. We sound like the old man in the mountain now, but my reasons for leaving were sort of manifold. I wasn't really very happy with my personal life because I didn't have one. And I felt that after sort of 5.5 years, unless I had a break, then I was going to dry up and end up not writing, which would have been the worst thing of all, really. And we would have just I felt we would have just put out stuff that was inferior to everything else we'd put out. So we had a bit of a scrap about it, and I didn't come back. That was pretty much it. The reason I've worked with a lot of people is because I really love making records. That's what I like doing. I love being in the studio. And the actual putting out of the records and promotion and dissecting it and being very analytical about what position you're at and your life and stuff doesn't appeal to me at all. I feel very uncomfortable with that. So I didn't want any of that responsibility. I'd had it for 5.5 years, and I just wanted to be a guitar player, a session guitar player, and be a really, really fantastic guitarist for a certain period of time. And I was really lucky to be invited to play with a few different people. One thing that I think confused a couple of people is that, you know, people's schedules just conflict. Like the Brian Ferry record I was making before the end of the Smiths, and I was encouraged by the rest of the Smiths to get involved in that record. And Brian takes so long putting his records out that by the time it came out, it was right on the heels of the Smith split. So sometimes it appears like I'm everywhere at once, and it isn't really. It's just that people put out their records at the same time. But I think I've learned a lot from that period, and I think every session I've played on I've really enjoyed. And I can listen to all those records, from the Talking Heads records through to Stax and the Pet Shop Boys, and really enjoy them. And it's a real buzz to be able to make your mark on something that's already been sort of built on and try and contribute something to it, give another dimension to it or whatever.